Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us on another live program. Just adjusting a few things here. Great to have you with us. It's actually a little bit of a damp day down in Phuket today, although I understand things are clearing up, not only here, but also around other parts of the country, which had, of course, big problems with heavy rains and floods. Some of them, of course, involved with the tropical storm that came. I hope it isn't. Sorry, just reading some of these comments. Anyway, so just wanted to make it clear that we'll try today to bring you up to date with a lot of the stuff that happened yesterday, and that's in regards to the reinstatement of Prayut Chanocha. But would also be remiss of me and you not to recognise that a lot of people are suffering up in the central parts of Thailand, where there's been very heavy flooding. And I just note here, I got a comment from Lee Shepherd, who says, my wife was sent a picture from her sister in Sisaket. I wish I could send it to you. They had lots of rain there. The picture shows fish stuck in the branches of a tree. Sad, but hilarious. Have you read any or recommend a book of politics or history in Thailand? Okay, I'll try to get to that later. So, yeah, great to have you with us. And I was going to have somebody sitting next to me reading your comments today. However, they've been misplaced somewhat. They called me up during the week and said they couldn't make it due to unforeseen circumstances. So it's just me and you solo again. They've even taken my cuppa away. Can I have another cup? Very busy here today, and yes, I should say that I am at Dean and DeLuca, and they're looking after me as per usual. So I was going to go through what happened yesterday. I don't think I need to do it in a lot of detail, but I would be interested to hear your comments about what happened yesterday. In fact, I'll go through some of the comments that you sent in yesterday. So yes, I am a two-boat program today. So we've been well, I suppose promoted from the one boat live program in the past. And hello to everybody who's online. I mean, it is really great to have you with us. And this little thing we do on Saturdays, I hope to sort of build it up in the next couple of months to something. I'm even trying to figure out a way to do some sort of live reaction between yourselves and me. Either that's going to be on Zoom or I have no idea. We'll have to get a few cans together and tie a bit of string and see what we can do. But anyway, let's go into what happened yesterday. And indeed, Prayut Chanocha, who has been in the office of Prime Minister for apparently about 6 years, according to the Constitutional Court, is back at the helm of the good ship Thailand. And it's been met with, as you can imagine, mixed reaction. And I think we could probably say generally that most people haven't been terribly surprised by what's happened. I was a little bit surprised. I thought that the Constitutional Court may have said that he became the Prime Minister back in 2014. I wasn't so confident about my prediction, though, to mention it publicly, because there was a big chance that I was going to get it wrong. I mean, what was written at the top of his paycheck for those 3 years between 2014 and 17? Did it say Prime Minister? When the King swore him in as Prime Minister in August in 2014, did they spell the word Prime Minister somehow differently? Or was His Majesty misinformed? But no matter what I think about it, no matter what you think about it, the fact is the Constitutional Court have sort of taken the middle road. They picked the 2017 date. They didn't pick the 2019 date, which was when we had the last general election, and they didn't go for the 2014 date, which would have seen him remain suspended as Prime Minister. So they picked a sort of a safe middle ground, and whether that's constitutionally correct, that's the decision they made. There are 9 judges of the Constitutional Court. I haven't seen the breakdown of the actual vote, but I imagine they would have had to have been unanimous for such a decision like this. If not, I think it probably would put some questions on their decision. So they've either chosen not to say what the actual vote was amongst the judges, or it's basically been made so that it sounds like they're unanimous. Question, could the extremely popular governor of Bangkok one day become Prime Minister, says Scott D. Well, that's an interesting question, Scott. Maybe I'll address that now because we're talking about the Prime Minister and stuff. The current governor of Bangkok ran as an independent when he ran for governor. As we know, he got some 62% of the vote. I think it was 62%. I'm sure one of you will pick me up if I'm wrong. Before then, he used to be a member of the Thai Party, who are currently one of the opposition parties. So basically sort of against the Conservatives, the army-run thing. So he would be, I think, in the future, a very solid candidate for Prime Minister. Indeed, he could be nominated as a Prime Ministerial candidate for one of the parties in the forthcoming election, which will probably be held in April or May next year. And I'll give the reason why that's happening later as well. A lot of things I've got to go back to. I should be writing notes. But yeah, I think he could be a very strong candidate. He's certainly got the political savvy. He's got the election engine all sorted out. He's got a lot of support. And importantly, he's got support in Bangkok, which is sort of the heart and soul of Thailand's voting, and certainly the heart and soul of the power of government in Thailand. So at the moment, he seems to be trying to get along with people like the Prime Minister, the former caretaker Prime Minister Prayut Wongsuwon, and other people. But yeah, good question, Scott. I think he'd be an excellent candidate, and probably somebody who's got at least a little bit of youth on his side. I think he's in his 50s. I think he might be 54. But in a political sense, that's probably youth on your side. But he's also got a lot of experience, and he's getting a lot of experience on the ground as far as Bangkok's concerned at the moment. And obviously he's got a long list of problems, traffic, flooding, blah, 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 that he's trying to address. So Reg Dunlop, is General Prayut back in charge? Where have you been for the past 24 hours, Reg? Yes, have a look at the last video I did just yesterday when I broke the news. I quite proudly say that I think I was probably the first person in English to get onto YouTube and say something about it. But then again, I suppose that's what you would expect me to do. That is my job. Rob Roy, morning, Tim. I agree with you. If one is in the driver's seat and holding the steering wheel, they're the driver. He's been driving since 2014, talking about Prayut Chanocha. So, yeah, back in charge. Interesting to read your comments, and we'll try and go through some of those. Just show you, got my sort of laptop all set up here with my comments on the side there. So I'm pretty well set up. Next week, we're going to be trying a different setup where I'll be able to share with you some pictures, images, videos, and probably have two cameras. Oh my God, technical problems, blah, red flag. But I am trying to each week do something more with this program, this magic time we have together. It's such a great opportunity for us to interact and discuss a whole lot of issues. And if I can get somebody to sort of be going through the comments, if we can get it technically set up, then it gives me a lot more opportunity to say some intelligent things and to go through your comments in more detail. And we're also trying to find ways, as I mentioned, for you to sort of in real time interact with me whilst I'm talking. There's no way he would have been removed before the APEC conference with Xi Jinping, says Sick Puppy. Well, interesting point there. Xi Jinping, the president of China, is coming to Thailand for the APEC meeting. There's one notable omission from the list of dignitaries coming to this year's APEC. One of them including the US President Joe Biden, who's sending the Vice President Kamala Harris in his stead. But it's actually, I think, politically going to be an important time for the Prime Minister to sort of nail down his credentials as the leader of the country. As I mentioned yesterday, I sort of see him as a bit of a lame duck Prime Minister for the next 4 or 5 months because there's been a lot of opposition to things he's been doing just in this year, and probably in reaction to a faltering Thai economy. However faltering it is, it still seems to be a lot better than other economies around the world. And there are those people who have said that the Prime Minister and the army-led government have had a firm hand on the tiller, leading them through the pandemic and the last 7 or 8 years. So history, I suppose, will judge that. But as we look forward, Thailand has got some 3% increase in its GDP this year and looking for the same sort of increases next year. At the same time, a lot of other bigger economies are going to be falling, or if they haven't already fallen, into recession. Giles says a pretty female co-host would be, he says niece, I think you meant nice. Well, sorry to burst your bubble, but the person who was going to be sitting next to me wasn't a pretty young female. Also, I'm not sure if I have a pretty young female sitting next to me, whether you'll be paying attention to me. Okay, our US president is not doing well, says Sick Puppy. He has serious mental issues. Making a political comment there, given that the alternatives in the US presidential stakes are mostly over 70 as well. He seems to be quite coherent to me. I think you might just be a little bit on the bias side, and that's fine. I have to say, this forum is not a forum for US politics. Any comments we make are in passing. We don't want this to become a forum about US politics because I'm not particularly interested, and I don't take sides in regards to US politics. When any of them say something stupid, I'm quite happy to point it out, and no prisoners taken. Okay, so poor Joe in charge, it's like Hollywood, it's blah, 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 blah. Okay, today is October the 1st. This is actually a really interesting day, and not much has been made about this in the media, but there are so many things changing today. Now, apart from the fact that Thais are waking up this morning and we've got Prayut back in charge, thanks, Tim. You and other overseas retirees have helped me with my decision. Blah, 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 blah. I've got it. See, this is the problem. I get distracted by these comments popping up, and I'm trying to say something intelligent. So what's happening on October the 1st? That's today. Well, we don't have an emergency decree anymore. That finished yesterday. And they haven't rolled out a new emergency decree. So the emergency decree is over. It first started back in April 2020, and it was going to be for a period of 2 months. Then the 2 months came up and they issued another emergency decree, and it continued all the way through till yesterday. What does that mean for you? Well, it actually doesn't mean anything. I mean, I woke up this morning and the sun came up and the rain came down. It was exactly the same as any other day. Really, the emergency decree has been a governmental operational issue, hasn't really affected anybody in the streets. What it does mean, I suppose, for some people, is that it's just one of the last restrictions that have been removed. Also, the CCSA hands back its powers from yesterday back to mostly the Public Health Department in regards to COVID. The CCSA was the COVID task force they had here in Thailand, managing the COVID situation in regards to vaccine rollouts, border closures, and anything relating to COVID-19. So those powers have been handed back. I think the CCSA, I mean, we didn't get a big announcement yesterday, but they'll probably stay together as some sort of advisory group in relation to COVID, but I'm not even sure if that's going to happen. It wasn't a paid job as far as I know. Good news, Bobby Crush, we've removed your comment because it was ridiculous and racist, and happy to leave that off our forum. Now, another thing that's changed today is that the airports, when you check in, travelling to Thailand, officially, let's hope this actually happens, you won't be required to show your vaccine status. You won't be required to show your vaccination certificates. Also, you won't be required to show any negative tests from a PCR or ATK test 72 hours before your flight. In fact, you won't be asked to show certificates, vaccine or not, or negative tests or not at all. And the test done in Thailand won't be done anymore. Now somebody said, is there something officially been written about this? Frank Weston question, why do Buddhists eat animals? I don't even know where to start on that one, Frank. That's an interesting one. Okay, so this I think is, again, one of those sort of visual things that a lot of people are going to go, oh, it's another way that Thailand is open. It's another way that all the restrictions have been removed. And I'm sort of racking my brain to think of any sort of restrictions that remain in place. And I'll talk about face masks in a moment. But for schools also from today, even though the schools aren't at school today, but from today, face masks are not required officially from today in schools, and social distancing will not be enforced at schools officially. So what does all this mean? It means that the schools, well, the kids don't have to wear face masks. I bet many of them do. And I bet some of the parents will say, you leave your face mask on at school. But there will be some schools also that will still either require face masks in some situations in the classrooms or whatever. So a lot of the schools will make up their own mind on this, but officially from today, face masks are not required for students at schools, nor is social distancing and those silly plastic panels they were putting between desks, which I thought was just ridiculous. Question, do you still need face masks on planes these days? Frank, that is up to the airlines largely. Now that Thailand removed its requirement to wear face masks in public places back in July. Most Thais in many places are still wearing face masks in public. Walking down the streets of Bangkok, I was there last week, literally it was 100% of Thai people were wearing face masks. The only people not wearing face masks were foreigners. Now, in some of the touristy places, like some of the bar locations and the bar zones, there are fewer Thais wearing face masks. They don't sort of want to scare off the foreigners. But some Thais, even in those bar locations, are wearing face masks. So the face mask issue, you are not required to wear face masks. Even going into a 7-Eleven, I march into my local 7-Eleven without my face masks these days. Public buildings, many of them still require face masks and are legally able to enforce that. So if you go to a court or a police station or an immigration office, you still need to wear a face mask, and they'll probably ask you to step out of the building and put a face mask on before you re-enter. So I wouldn't so much call that a restriction. These are sort of lingering problems, but immigration officers, unless you're going to extend your visa, now police stations, hope you don't have to go into one, courthouses, a ditto, and other public offices are not places that most tourists are going to have to go to. So I think you can be pretty confident arriving in Thailand at the moment that you're not going to have to parade around with a face mask on your face. Frank, you're getting a bit busy today. Question, if you came back in another life as an animal, what would it be? Probably not a cat, or maybe it would be a cat, I don't know. It's not something that I've thought much about. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe I'm coming back as anything. I'm just doing the very best I can in this particular life, and I can't really address that particular question because I haven't really thought much about it. I'd probably go for one of the apex predators, at least you've got a fighting chance. True Blue Thai says, again, I went to my local Thai market and I felt isolated as I was the only person who did have a face mask. So there are changes in Thai people slowly. Interesting comment, thank you very much, True Blue Thai. Okay, let's go to some of the other, these are some of the comments that people had about the reinstatement of Prayut Chan-o-cha back to the position of Thai Prime Minister. How many people have we got online so far? I can't really see that. Where does it say that? 185 watching. Oh, that's not enough. Let's get some more. So here are some of the comments that you made about the reinstatement of Prayut Chan-o-cha. He said, loving Thailand says you've got to be pretty dim not to know which way the ruling would go. Well, put me in that particular list because I wasn't confident that he was going to be reinstated. The fact that he was, well, I mean, I just abide by the court's decision. But I was one of those people that really wasn't that sure. I thought maybe he might be thrown out, but obviously I was wrong. Reed says, absolute power corrupts absolutely, in quotes. Aside from that statement, I won't even touch on Thai politics while I'm a guest in the country. Well, Reed, thanks for that. I am a guest in the country, but I do talk about Thai politics. But what I try and do is, rather than necessarily criticising, I try and put things into perspective, and I try and sort of paint the real picture behind the headlines, particularly when it comes to much of the legislation and why the legislation ends up ending in Parliament, whether we like it or not. So I'm sort of here, I suppose, to interpret some of the Thai politics using my knowledge and my experience over the years. Moses Braun says, hi Tim, thanks for the update. Is okay. Better him than Anutin or the corrupt Thaksin family. When it comes to the Thaksin family, I think you could probably confidently predict that the Per Thai party, who was once led by Yingluck Shinawat, Thaksin's sister, will probably run into the next election with a Prime Ministerial candidate called Pathongtan Shinawat, who is Thaksin's youngest daughter. Is she ready for the job? I think she's being very quickly groomed for the job because that name will draw a lot of votes, particularly up in the north and northeast of Thailand, where the Per Thai party are very strong, less so in Bangkok and down in the south. So it's all very well to say, or call the Thaksin family corrupt. It's probably difficult to imagine any of the Thai politicians with a completely clean sheet, and those that have a clean sheet probably aren't taking advantage of the positions in the same way that every other politician has in the history of Thailand. Big Plus says, guess who's going to win the next election? Well, I suppose what you're saying with your question there, it's quite pointed that you're thinking that the army-backed conservative powers are going to win the next election. I think, once again, I can confidently predict, and you can write this down, that the Per Thai and the Move Forward party will, at the next election, get easily more than 50% of the votes. How the Constitutional Court, who have almost unanimously come down on the side of the conservative forces over the past 8 years, how they react to complaints from the conservative parts of the conservative MPs about the decision of the Thai people in the next election is yet to be seen. Halo Jumper says, thanks Tim for the update, talking about the update yesterday. By the way, on another subject, is there any official document regarding the 1st of October change or no more vaccination or PCR requirements to enter Thailand? I actually haven't read an official document. However, all these changes have been passed by the Cabinet and posted on the Royal Gazette. And it's more a fact that they've been omitted from any requirements in the future. And the fact that COVID's been downgraded to just a general communicable disease rather than a disease of interest or danger, a lot of these things have been implied. So if there's somebody coming to Thailand in the next few days who get asked for vaccination certificates, PCR, negative tests, or are checked at the airport, I mean, please tell me and we'll certainly pass that on, but they're not meant to from the 1st of October. Nigel Baker says, hi Tim, good update. Same, but different. I think we could probably say, Nigel, same, but same. The now Prime Minister Prayut, he served as the Defence Minister since August the 24th when he was suspended. He's been sort of circulating government, probably with a bit of a wink and a nod. Did he know he was going to be reinstated? We'll probably never know. William Hart says, what do we expect? Wasn't the court appointed by this regime? Well, no. The Constitutional Court is nominated by... Good question. They certainly weren't appointed by the regime, but when the judges stand down, I think names are put to a joint sitting in Parliament, and then they're given the vote. I think whilst the age of the judges make them just naturally conservative, they have certainly acted in support of the conservative forces of Thai politics, but they certainly weren't appointed by the regime. Jeff Mac 112 says, I was surprised when the court suspended PM Prayut. I'm not surprised by his reinstatement. I probably would have made the same decision. Term starts when the Constitution starts. Fair comment. Okay, so let's go to some of the questions and comments in the feed. Let's see how I go doing this without losing my track too quickly. True Blue Thai says, good morning, Tim and everyone. I binge watched the Thai cave rescue last night. That did not happen moments, but overall an amazing series. The Thai red tape. I recommended last week to watch Thai Cave Rescue on Netflix if you have it. It's a mini series of 6 around about 1 hour programs. I thought it was excellent. By far the best production of all the different movies that I've seen and the documentaries. So it actually really went in depth. I mean, with 6 hours of television, you can go into a lot more depth than a 1.5 hour movie. But the main difference was it was told from the point of view of the 13 people who were stuck inside the cave. And this production had access to them to ask them the questions and say, hey, what actually happened in there? So you get a faithful rendition of exactly the conversations that were held and the things that were said inside the cave and how they actually got through their ordeal. Just hello to all these different people I know walking past. So yeah, recommended, Thai Cave Rescue. If you don't have a bit of a tear at the very end, if you watch it, you know what I mean, then you're not human. Good morning, Tim from Heidelberg in Germany. Question, did the court expound on the reasoning for deciding in favour of Prayut? Look, it was about a half-hour judgment announcement. It was all in Thai. I don't know what they were saying, so there probably was. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that or find out about it, but it went on for half an hour. I'm sure they didn't sort of come online and say, Prayut's reinstated, thank you for coming. They went on for half an hour with some sort of obviously constitutional gobbledygook, but I don't know what they said. Giles says, congrats on over 10,000 subscribers in a very short time. Thank you very much. I'm always grateful when I hit any milestones. As I said, the channel's probably done better than I thought it would, but I also do want to try and evolve the channel and sort of move it forward. It's not going to become 5 different reporters. It's not going to become big. It's not going to become fancy. We're not going to have sets. We are going to have cats and cups of tea and coffee. But really, I just want to keep it fairly low key. Having said that, I do want to make sure the program improves, that I can improve my presentation, and that I can make sure I remain relevant to the questions that you have and able to respond to your comments as well. Question from Bow Tie. That's clever. Tim, recently you said you were going back to Australia just to visit, I hope, and will be without the news coverage while you are gone. No, I'm going to Australia between October the 11th and the 26th. There will be the normal programming. Now, some of them will have to be a little bit pre-recorded. It will obviously look a little bit different because you'll have Australia in the background instead of Thailand, but I'm still going to be covering the Thai news and the regional milestones and the main regional headlines. I don't know if I'll have 5G. I don't know if I'm going to have perfect Wi-Fi, but I'm trying to make sure I'm sort of set up with a few backup plans. So one way or another, I mean, I really enjoy doing this every day, having these chats to you and reporting on the news. So I will be making sure that even when I'm in Australia, we'll be doing the daily TNT program. Hello from Redcliffe in Queensland, says Richard Evans. Scott D. Could the extremely popular governor of Bangkok, I think I addressed that. Tim, Thailand, Australia, Marigold, Finland, live TNT everywhere. except Finland. I haven't got there yet. Morning, Tim. I agree with you. Okay, there's no way he would have been removed. Okay, in any case, what difference does the... Okay, Key J says, in any case, what difference does the court decision make? Prayut would still be in charge, either directly or indirectly, until the next election. Oh, well, I don't sort of agree with that. I think the Parliament, if he was stood down, he would have probably remained as Defence Minister. And it's not so much just him. I mean, there's these three Ps, the three generals that have sort of been seen to be running or pulling the strings of the Thai governance since 2014, either as a military coup or in the guise of a sort of quasi-democratic government. And those three generals are still, although they're aging, they're still pretty much running things. But yeah, we will have the guise of Prayut Chan-o-cha, who will see out his term in Parliament. I don't believe he's going to stand as an MP for election. He'll be looking for a nod to be nominated as an outside Prime Minister, which he did in 2019. So yeah, this Prayut Chan-o-cha has still never been elected as an MP in Thailand. So it's an interesting dynamic, but in the current constitution, entirely legal. Neighbours starting to ask about borrowing our plastic boat to get in and out of their houses in case a river keeps coming up. A sure sign we aren't past the worst of it, from Jack Fletcher. Yeah, we're just talking about the floods for a moment. Thanks, Jack, and I hope you're okay, hope you're safe. These floods. Now, some people sent me messages during the week, oh, it's not raining in Pattaya. Really? The storm that was coming first through the Philippines, then through Vietnam, then Laos, dissipating and weakening as it passed through those countries, did drop a lot of rain as it cut a swathe through the centre of Thailand, starting in the northeast around Sisaket and Ubon Ratchathani after it crossed the Mekong. But a lot of places have got a lot of rain. Somebody in Khon Kaen, which is north of those sort of areas, just north, said, oh, we didn't see much rain here. No, there was hardly any wind. Well, it doesn't mean that just because it wasn't happening there, it wasn't happening quite nearby. So all this rain that's dropped from Nauru during the week, even though it wasn't a big storm or horrendous typhoon as it was, say, in the Philippines, all that rain has got to make its way from the mountains and the farmlands of central Thailand. It's got to make its way out to the Gulf of Thailand. Now, the only way it can get there, some of it will go into the ground, but as people have noted, the grounds are already well soaked, and so there's going to be a lot of runoff. And that's going to be heading mostly down the Chao Phraya River, and it's going to arrive in Bangkok sometime early or middle next week. If there is a lot of rain in Bangkok early next week, if there are high tides in the Gulf of Thailand, we're probably going to see some of the worst flooding ever. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but if that sort of perfect storm of events was to occur, that would be a really big problem for Bangkok. And as I keep on saying, and I'm sure that this hasn't gone past the people running Bangkok, but it's all very well to put in extra pumps and give people sandbags and tell people to be prepared. But the problem is, once all that inundation and once all that flooding has occurred, the damage has been done. And just pumping it out doesn't solve the problem. You've got to somehow find a way to stop these floodwaters, because it's going to happen every year. And because of the increased rainfall, the increased amount of rain falling during these deluges and downpours, because of the rising seawater, because of the sinking of Bangkok, all these things are measured and known. Now, you might debate whether they're human-caused or not, man-caused. I'm not going to get into that debate. The fact is that they're happening. And so Bangkok's situation regards flooding is not going to improve. If you've got real estate in Bangkok, I mean, you'd be sort of saying to yourself, gee, I wonder if I'm in one of those low-lying areas. And this puts a lot of question marks over setting up businesses long-term in Thailand. You'd be thinking to yourself, unless the government really comes up with a proper plan to address flooding, the situation in Bangkok's just going to get worse. And now the Prayut government has done SFA. They've done absolutely nothing to address the flooding. Now you've got the current governor, Chad, who is at least addressing it fairly aggressively, but it's not easy to stop water getting into a city of some 12 million people. Dark Brother. Thanks, Tim. You and other overseas retirees have helped me with my decision to accept my early retirement offered. I officially filed my retirement paper yesterday. I quietly quit over a year. Quit over a year ago. I'm not quite sure. Do you mean that? Well, Dark Brother, congratulations on your retirement. And if you are coming to Thailand, hopefully we can help in the future. TNT is setting up a list of what we call approved or preferred visa agents, insurance companies, ones that we've either worked with or spoken to or are aware of that provide good services and will be able to give you good deals for the right price and are reliable. So we're setting that up because I think that's a great service to you, so that you can at least get the backing of somebody who's lived here for a long time and other people and our experience, so that you don't make some of the mistakes we've made and that you could probably make if you didn't have that sort of service. So that's going to be coming up. Thanks, Tim. You and other. So good luck to you, Dark Brother. Good news for travellers to Thailand. Okay. Well, it's deleted. Let's go down a bit further. Question, Tim. If you came back in another life, I think I addressed that. After October the 1st, what will happen to you if you get COVID while in Thailand as a tourist? Will they force quarantine at one of the expensive resort hotels? No. If you get COVID, it's really up to you to go to a hospital. They won't detain you. You'll be able to just get some medication and go on your way. We know that some of the latest incarnations of COVID have been milder. For some people, though, they can still get very sick. And I think, obviously, people who have got comorbidities, people who are older, they still need to make their best decisions to avoid COVID if they can, including vaccination. So, I'm 63 and I'm doing my best whilst in public in some very busy places. I'll still pop the mask on. I don't want to get COVID again. I've had it once. It wasn't pleasant, wasn't life-threatening, but I was that close to going to hospital, even though it was the last thing I wanted to do. So this is still quite a serious respiratory disease for many people. And the older you are, the more dangerous it is. And we don't really know exactly how it's all going to peter out or change or remain as a sort of an endemic virus in the world. But I'd certainly be doing my best to try and avoid it in the future. Smash the like button and subscribe to TNT. Thank you, Pat Thai. Okay, Nong Wasu, I'll let that one go. Face masks on airlines, Tim, that's what I meant, my friend. Well, the face masks on airlines, if you're flying to Thailand, it's sort of going to be up to the airline. Some people have said to me they flew to Thailand and some of the plane were wearing masks and other people weren't. At the airport the other day, it is a Thai public building. In theory, you're meant to wear a mask inside, but a lot of people weren't wearing their masks at the airport when I was there last weekend. And on the plane, it doesn't seem to be enforced anymore for domestic flights, even though they recommend it. So I think you're just going to have to keep one in your pocket and just feel the mood of the meeting. Just be intelligent about this. You don't need to make a political statement about what you think about masks. If everybody around you is wearing a mask, or if somebody politely asks you to wear a mask, just put a mask on and get on with things, really. I'm just wondering if I'll have to wear a mask on the 17-hour flight from Seattle to Bangkok, says Ralph Lewis. You're going to find out when you get there. Go to the website of the airline you're flying on and see if they talk about face masks. The different airlines are going to have different rules, and those rules may be different depending on where they're flying to. So you're going to have to rely on the airlines in regards to that. The Thai government can't tell Delta Airlines that their passengers have to wear masks. The Thai government can't tell Eva Air that people flying from Taiwan have got to wear a mask. That's up to the airline to decide. If you are on a plane, there's a lot of people around you and a few people are coughing, I'd probably pop on a mask. I think we're probably going to see more masks on planes generally in the future, because respiratory diseases are spread by people not wearing masks, and if you've got a mask on, you've got a less chance of passing any virus that you've got onto other people, and you've got a slightly better chance of picking up that respiratory disease. But at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. But look, you just need to be prepared that at this time, as we're coming out of the pandemic, there are going to be some airlines requiring them and some not. So just be prepared and get the knowledge you need to make an informed decision. If the airline says you have to wear a mask, well, you can complain and jump up and down and put your hands on your hips and lie on the ground and scream, but it's not going to change the airline's policy. Tim, are you a player in Thailand? Playing what? I have no idea what some of these questions are. I was convinced that Prayut Chan-o-cha would come back because the only reason the courts looked at the situation was to appease the public and dispel rioting for a while. Well, acknowledging that there were two protests last night, one at the Pathum 1 intersection, which is next to MBK, on the skywalk there, and there was another one at the Ratcha Prasong intersection. Both attracted hundreds rather than thousands of people, and oh, here we go. My favourite troll. There's another protest today at the Ratcha Prasong intersection as well, I noted. So if you're heading into Bangkok in a car, there might be a little bit of a delay near Ratcha Prasong intersection, which is the intersection near Central World. Obviously, those two intersections are two of the busiest intersections in Bangkok, and one's used by the protesters to make their point the loudest. Stephen J.L. Austin, Mr. Newton. I just hate the way that you say Mr. Newton. Why not poll your audience about the current format? I bet the vast majority of your fans prefer this simple format. Well, thank you for the recommendation. At the end of the day, I just don't want to keep doing the same thing all the time. I want to evolve the program, and the numbers of subscribers and viewers will either go up or down. I mean, that's the ultimate poll. I don't really want to ask you what you want, because there are going to be a lot of people who are disinclined to sort of get involved in that. I think I'm a fairly good judge on what works and what doesn't. And what am I going to say? I mean, this is what I want to do. I want to have 17 people and a big round table and flashing lights and wear pink underwear. Or I'm going to sit in front of the camera by myself on a Saturday morning and just have a chat to you. Then you sort of got a fairly clear distinction on, but that really doesn't give me the freedom to come up with something better than both of those opportunities. So I'm not going to be doing a poll about it. I'll just slowly try things, and you'll tell me on the message board whether you think they're good or not. That's, I think, a much more efficient way of doing it. Polls may be seen to be binding, and I don't really want anything telling me what I should or shouldn't be doing. And given that the circumstances of both myself and the audience can change. So many people I know in the USA have already got COVID once or twice already, and they all said it's like a mild cold or flu if you have all your booster shots. Herd immunity in the USA. Well, yeah, good luck. A lot of people either don't get any symptoms at all, or it is a mild cold or flu. It was more than that for me, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't ending up on a respirator. So I think, again, you need to make some informed decisions. And certainly those people, statistically, that have been immunised or vaccinated have had a much better chance of avoiding the worst symptoms or even worse, death. Tom Young Guy says, any politician anywhere is corrupt to some degree. Okay. Prayut will hold power through 2030, I would think. Well, Thomas, I mean, the Constitutional Court have basically said that even if he's reinstated as Prime Minister after the next election, and I would say that is doubtful, but if he were, he could only remain as Prime Minister constitutionally until 2025. Also, he hasn't said whether he's going to run for the position of Prime Minister after the next election. The next election, well, if this Parliament runs all the way through to the final moment, they'll have to they'll have to dissolve Parliament on March the 23rd. That's the D-Day. An election could then be held April, May. So the longest this Parliament can run, the longest the Prime Minister can stay as Prime Minister in this Parliament is March 23rd next year. And then they'll run as caretakers until the election is held. After that, we just don't know enough about who's standing. But I can very confidently say that the Pheu Thai and Move Forward parties will together get more than 50% of the vote, which will mean they'll be able to technically form a government. What happens after that, we'll just have to see. Frank, another question. We returned to Thailand for 2 months on the 20th of October, and as we can have a 45-day visa exemption, would it not be wise to travel into Laos for a week by road and then travel back? Well, if you've got the 45 days on the visa exemption and you cross into Laos and then come back, you'd be able to get another 15 days because you're coming back over a land border, excuse me. I just realised the mic would have picked that up, I'm sorry. It's having a bit of a sneeze and a blow of the nose. So yes, if you do come over for the 45 days and you cross into Laos and then you come back, you'll only be able to stay for another 15 days, the way I currently understand it. It's disappeared. True Blue Thai. What you are doing right now, Tim, is excellent. A relaxing chat in Dean and DeLuca with the music playing in the background. Can you hear that? Okay. Didn't think you would have been able to hear it. Cheers to the pure bloods. Oh, Mr. Transparent Media Truth. Love the way that somebody can be so obnoxious to call themselves Transparent Media Truth. Really? You are the be-all and end-all. You are the oracle. You are the one with the knowledge, according to your name. Question from AJF. Has your YouTube channel been able to start making money yet? Well, that's a long and vexed question. It is very difficult to get monetized. And once you are monetized, then they need to approve you and they need to get all your credentials and they need to check things. So I offered my Australian passport as ID. They said, no, that's not good enough because you're registered in Thailand. So I had to race out and get a Thai driving license, which I admit I didn't have. And once I got that, I showed that to Google and they said, yep, you're approved. So, I've got that. Now they said, we're going to send you a letter, a physical letter, and it's got a 4-number PIN code, which you'll then have to put onto your channel. And only after that will we consider paying you. I had to have a Thai bank account, of course. There's a lot of steps to become monetized. It's not easy. At the moment, I haven't made 1 red cent or 1 baht out of YouTube, but obviously I'm hoping that I can get that sorted out in the future. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. But it's pretty much a full-time job to get yourself monetized. And YouTube don't make it easy. And there are plenty of problems with YouTube about demonetizing certain topics, and people may not like it, but it's the best out there. And they send it out to all the subscribers. They bring my program and my channel to the attention of other people. I mean, it's by far the best option at the moment. Define business. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Ian McNamee says, no shots for me. Good luck to you, Ian. Same thing with me, Mark. I had 4 shots and only my family tested me. That's how I found out. Very good, dear Tim. Do it the way you think best. I like what you've been doing so far. Thank you, Richard. Good morning. Obviously, doing my best to... The whole TNT daily thing is all about trying to sort of dissect the news, because nobody else is really doing that. I just don't want to sort of read the news. I want to say, this is what they're reporting, and I think this is either what is actually meant, or they've made a mistake, and here are the facts. So I do my best to try and sort of be a news analyzer. I don't see myself as an influencer. I don't think anybody would be influenced by me. But that program was really built around trying to come up with something a little bit different. Then this daily chat is what it is at the moment. But currently we've got 261 people. I'd probably want, a couple of thousand people, because that enriches the conversation. It broadens our view. Okay, what else have we got here? KJ, Thailand has maybe 20 other constitutions, I can't recall exactly, in the last 90 years. Yeah, it's certainly had plenty of constitutions. Haha, Tim the mic, haha. Yeah, sorry, Mark, I just realised I went to have a sneeze and I sneezed right into the mic. TNT is dynamite, says Ian. Yes, we can hear it, Tim. Sorry, Mark. If he gets a 45-day visa, this is alluding to, I think, a question from Frank. And this is from Toby. If he gets a 45-day visa exempt on arrival, he can extend that for 30 days at Thai immigration for 1,900 baht. I think the problem, Tony, though, is he's going to cross over the border. That means he's going to leave Thailand. And when he comes back into Thailand across the border, I believe he only gets a 15-day tourist visa. That's, I think, the complication. But of course, if he stays here for the 45 days, he could go to Thai immigration and, yes, get another 30-day extension. All Prayut has to do is rewrite the constitution. He can remain PM as long as he wants, says D. Anachan. Okay, I can't really address that. I suppose he could. I just don't think he's going to do that. But I suppose technically a Prime Minister or an army could do that if they wanted. I hear Kate Bush everywhere these days, says Kimo. Kate Bush. I think one of her songs was used in Stranger Things and sort of kickstarted, rebooted her career somewhat. Yes, Transparent Media Truth, you're pretty much, from what I've seen of your channel, in my eyes, obnoxious. And of course, you're free to express what you think about me as well. But you're still here. I haven't banned you yet. Probably will. Frank in Thailand, what's the name of your visa agent? Did you really pay 20,000 baht? Yeah, look, about visa agents, you pay to use the services of a visa agent. You can get a visa all by yourself in so many cases. But if you are not quite reaching the requirements, a visa agent will smooth over some of those problems. Are they worth it? Well, that's up to you to decide. But in many cases, it's up to you to do your homework to see what sort of visas you can get, how much your time is worth, and the red tape that they may be able to cut through. Have you seen a doctor about the spot on your head? Actually, Ian, this spot here. Where is it? This one, yes. Yeah, it's a skin cancer. So I have seen a doctor, and it's all under control, and it's probably going to be removed in the next few weeks. But yeah, I spent a lot of my younger days sailing, running around in the sunshine, and I'm paying the price now at my age. But it's all under control, nothing to worry about. But thank you very much for noticing. Define business. Are you talking about me and my business? Yes, I would like to turn this into a business at some stage. I couldn't possibly make a business out of it with the current subscribers or the current income, but I hope to one day be able to extend it to make it a business as I move on in my years. Stephen Lewis, is the PM able to propose a constitutional amendment enabling him to stay in power longer than the current end date? Again, Stephen, I just don't see that happening. I think the tide has turned for now the current Prime Minister. I don't think he's the most popular person in Thai politics. Indeed, a number of surveys in the past couple of months have showed his support lower than 20%. And people like Pattongtarn Shinawat, even though she hasn't announced her desire to be Prime Minister, has got over 40%. So I think his days are probably numbered as a politician here in Thailand. That's just my point of view. How about Patreon, says Norman Brown. Yeah, look, I mean, there's things like I could have memberships on YouTube, I could have donations on YouTube. They're not really a comfortable fit with me. Certainly at the place I used to work at, I fought against memberships and donations, because I just don't think that they're a long-term way for a sustainable business. So I don't really want to go down that track. I'd much rather provide some services that you may be able to use that could be useful to you, and then I can get a little slice, a couple of percentage out of those from other people that I recommend to visa agents, to insurance companies, to rental companies, etc. Would you like to try to prevent people from speaking their mind? No, very happy for people to speak their mind. It's quite different, however, when people talking nonsense. And if I don't know, well, then I'll just let it go. But if people want to just sprout nonsense or political manifestos, then I will either delete them or reduce the amount of access they have to the channel, which is absolutely my right. Define business was in regard to saying the PM is none of your business. Excuse me. Oh dear. When it's wet in Phuket, I do get dreadful hay fever, which causes all the moist eyes and things. It's quite chronic. I don't really know what to do about it. I love living here, but I do get dreadful hay fever. I have all the Kate Bush albums, says Frank Weston. Now that you don't work at the Tiger, how do you stay in Thailand? Well, ways and means. Let's just say that. But I have a work permit, and I'm fully legal, if that's what you're asking. Tim, top of the mic, not the bottom. I did that on the last sneeze. Nearly blew my eardrums out. Sorry everybody. I'm very sorry about the atomic sneeze, as Chi Kano mentioned. What else have we got here? Dark Brother, it's a year visa, not sure. Yeah, so I am fully legal, if you like. It's important when you're going to be staying here long term to think about your visas. It's all very well thinking, I'm just going to go and retire in Thailand. You really need to sit down and do some sums and just work out exactly how you can stay in Thailand long term. Now, there are now the long-term resident visas. There's the O and the OA visas, better known as the retirement visas. There's the smart visas, which have now been enlarged from 13 professions to 19 over the past week, and you can read the latest details at the Board of Investment website about those. There's also the elite visa program, which starts at, I think, 600,000 baht for 5 years. So there's quite a few options. And will they make things easier for retirees? Somebody in the questions asked, I can't find it, I'm sorry, but whoever you were, you did ask the question about will the Thai government make it easier for retirees and long-term stays in Thailand, because the number of tourists is a lot less than there were in the past. And I think the comment about that is that, yes, I think obviously they're enlarged the different types of visas you can get. There's still a dollar sign in front of most of those visas though, and there are still requirements that you have to meet. So are they going to lower those requirements? I don't know. I probably don't think so. But if you don't really have some sort of income or some sort of means of living here, then the Thai government really don't want you here. It's all very well saying, oh, I'll manage. I think we've sort of, in the past 3 or 4 weeks, been able to underline the amount of, say, 30,000 baht a month as a absolute minimum for living in Thailand. If you've got less than 30,000 baht a month at your disposal, you're just not going to survive in Thailand, or you're not really going to be able to, certainly not going to be able to save anything. So, yeah, some Thais can live a lot cheaper than that, but you're not Thai. So, and you still need to make sure that you've got things like health insurance. So, yeah, and somebody just mentioning there, Frank, saying that, anyway, somebody just mentioned that they've increased the amount of money required to retire in Malaysia. So, look, I think retiring in Southeast Asia generally is going to be a thing in the future, and more people are going to be looking to retire in Southeast Asia in coming years as it gets increasingly more complex and expensive to retire in your own country. So I think there's going to be opportunities for governments in Southeast Asia to provide ways and means for people to come and retire and live out their life happily and spend their money in these countries. But at the moment, the Thai government aren't making it any cheaper, even though they've made it easier by allowing different forms of long stay visas in the country. I'm married to a Thai woman with Alzheimer's and I'm struggling now. Well, Frank, I'm very, very sorry to hear that. And obviously, yeah, best wishes to you and your wife. Ian McNamee, 1,000 USD a week minimum. So that's some 35,000 baht a week, Ian saying is the minimum. Well, I think 35,000 baht a week, you'd be doing okay. You could live quite comfortably in Thailand. Man, M-A-N, says, Tim, what about restricting retiree arrivals as the world economy gets worse? Any chance of that? Well, that's the opposite problem. I think Thailand's sort of happy to welcome Westerners back into the country. A lot of the people applying for retirement visas at the moment are Asians at the moment, other Asian countries. People coming out of Hong Kong, China. You may not be surprised, people from Russia are also spending time at the immigration office trying to work out long-term solutions to live in Thailand as well. Is there a spouse visa, Tim? Yes, there is a marriage visa in Thailand, but you can Google that and get all the information without me spending too much time here doing that on this particular forum. Tim, will you have agents, etc., all over Thailand or in Bangkok and Phuket? We'll have agents. We're going to try and find them in all parts of Thailand. Mind you, you don't necessarily have to be a visa agent in the same place that you are. In some cases that makes some things easier, but in other cases it's sort of irrelevant, given that you can send documents across the internet these days. So I'll keep you informed as that sort of forms itself in coming weeks. Hope things are going well, Tim. Enjoy your channel. Keep up the great work. That's from Hong Kong Trail Running Experiences. Where do you run in Hong Kong? Up around the hills there on the island? Okay. Tim, you must have caught a cold standing in the rain while reporting the PM results, says Don Jordan. No, I didn't get a cold. I just get this horrid hay fever. And I think I've got some sort of allergy to black mould, because whenever there's rain and wind blowing that stuff around, I do really suffer. I don't have the problem in Bangkok, so it's something here. Frank Weston, do you miss news readers, Tim, or do you still sort of do it? Well, I don't sort of read the news as such on this channel. I sort of read bits out of the news and then comment on it. I suppose I sort of survey the news, a bit of a media watch, if you like. Stephen J.L. Austin, comment, Mr. Newton, stop calling me Mr. Newton. It's patronising. You can resolve your allergy issue by completing a true water fast. Coconut oil around your nostrils. Oil pulling helps as well. Sorry, I didn't understand that, Stephen. Come on, guys, hit the like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Look, I think I've taken, in some of your cases, an hour of your time, of which I have to say I'm eternally grateful. And I do really, honestly appreciate the support every time you bother to tune in. And it's great doing these chats on Saturday mornings. Maybe next Saturday morning I'll have my helper here. We'll just have to see how all that works itself out. And noting that I will be in Australia, that could be fun. I could get some of my Australian friends. Oh no, you really don't want to meet those. Anyway, there you go. We've spent an hour together and it's been a pleasure. Do I have any other questions I didn't answer? Tim Newton today, do you have... Oh, Ben Hayes. Hi, Ben says, Tim Newton today, do you have an Optus phone? I don't know what you mean. Optus is one of the internet and phone providers mobile providers in Australia. Do I have an Optus phone? I've got an iPhone. This is my old phone, my old iPhone 12, and I'm talking on this one, which is the new iPhone 14, which, by the way, I'm very, very happy with. A spectacular phone. Very lucky to have it. Stephen's tried to clarify himself. Has he? Has he? No, he hasn't. I'm sorry, Mr. Newton, that you do not make money on this, but you deserve more, my friend, and we will follow you religiously. Well, don't follow me religiously, but follow me often. That would be great. What's the English name of your visa company? Haven't got it yet. I haven't got a visa company. Just settle down, but I'm going to be putting something together. It's going to be called TNT Concierge or TNT something. I don't know. I'll work that out. But with that, I thank you very, very much for your time today. Thank you to the 262 people that are online at the moment. We should welcome back Prayut Chan-o-cha to the Prime Minister's desk, and we'll see him for the next 4 or 5 months before the Parliament is dissolved on March the 23rd next year. He could call an early election. Is that likely to happen? Unlikely. But anyway, we'll keep you up to date as we do every single day on TNT, Tim Newton today. But from Phuket on a rather moist morning, I thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.